Okay, this is going to be a Unit 6 review. So this is what I want you guys to watch on Friday after you guys take your quiz. This will kind of review Unit 6 material, which I don't want you guys to forget since we still need to take that test. So the problem 1 says solve using the quadratic formula. So our quadratic formula is x equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4 times a times my c divided by 2 times my a. So whenever we're solving the quadratic, our first step is to get everything onto one side. So we need to move the 6 over, and we need to move the x over. So that's going to cancel on the right, and then on the left, we're going to be left with 2x squared plus x minus 3 equals 0. We then identify our a, which is 2, our b is 1, and our c is negative 3. So we're going to have x equals negative our b, so opposite of b values become negative 1, square root of b squared minus 4 times my a times my c divided by 2 times my a value. And then I simplify. So I want to simplify under my radical first. So x equals 1, negative 1. Plus or minus square root, 1 squared is 1. Negative 4 times 2 is negative 8. Negative 8 times 3 is 24. And then 2 times 2 is 4. We're then going to continue simplifying under my radical. We get square root of 25 divided by 4. Square root of 25 is a perfect. So we're going to get x equals negative 1 plus or minus 5 divided by 4. Since it's a perfect, that's where we have to solve it both ways. So negative 1 plus 5 divided by 4 and negative 1 minus 5 divided by 4. So we get 4 divided by 4, which is 1. So that's one of our answers. We get negative 6 divided by 4, which simplifies to negative 3 over 2. So those are my two solutions. So I'm going to write those in a solution set. And that's how we solve with the quadratic formula. So let me know if you guys have any questions over that. Next one we have to do by completing the square. So first of all, is our a value 1? Yes. So then we move our old c to the other side. We get x squared minus 8x equals 4. We have to find the new c on both sides by taking our b, dividing it by 2, and squaring it. This gives us negative 4 squared, which equals 16. So we have to add the 16 to both sides. So we get x squared minus 8x plus 16, and then 4 plus 16 is 20. We then factor our left side. So what plus what equals negative 8, and what times what equals 16. These should be the same, and that's going to be negative 4 and negative 4. So since they're the same, this is where I can write x minus 4 squared equals the 20, because the 20 still has to come down. Then we square root both sides. We get x minus 4 equals plus or minus the square root of 20. And then we have to add the 4. And then once I add that 4, I want to see if I can simplify the square root of 20. It can simplify to 4 times 5, which is 2 square root of 5. So your final answer is x equals plus or minus 2 square root of 5 plus 4. You cannot combine the 4 because they're not like terms. And this is our solution. Okay, let me know if you guys have any questions over that problem. Let's go down to the bottom. It says select the appropriate method. So your appropriate methods could be factoring, quadratic, or completing the square. So number 1, first our A value is not 1. Second, our 2 is on the other side. So let's start by moving the 2. So we get 7x squared minus 13x minus 2. I know I can't just factor this one, so I'm going to see, but I know I can always use the quadratic formula. So my A value is 7, my B is negative 13, and my C is negative 2. So I'm going to plug all these into my quadratic. So we get x equals negative b, so it becomes a positive 13, plus or minus square root of b squared, so negative 13 squared, minus 4 times my a, which is 7, times my c, which is negative 2, all divided by 2 times my a. Then simplify. 13 plus or minus square root, 13 squared is 169. And then 4 times 7 is negative 28. And negative 28 times negative 2 is going to give you a positive 56. And then 7 times 2 is going to give us 14. X equals 13 plus or minus the square root of 225 divided by 14. Square root of 225 is a perfect. It is 15. So since it's a perfect, I got to solve it both ways. So 13 plus 15 divided by 14, and 13 minus 15 divided by 14. So on this one, I get 28 divided by 14, which equals 2. So that's one of my answers. And on this one, I get negative 2 divided by 14, which simplifies to negative 1 over 7. So those are my 2 solutions, negative 1/7 and 2. Okay, let me know if you guys have any questions. And this one, you could actually also factor it, but you'd have to do slide, divide, factor, and swing. But you can always be safe with a quadratic. This one, the first thing you want to see, is there a number I can divide out of everything? Yes, I can divide a 3 out. I'm going to get x squared minus 4x plus 1 equals 0. Now this one, I know I can't factor because there's not 2 numbers I can multiply to get 1 and add to get negative 4. So we're going to do complete the square. You could also do the quadratic formula with this one. Subtract 1. X squared minus 4x equals negative 1. Find my new c by taking negative 4 divided by 2 squared. You get negative 2 squared, which is 4. Add 4 to both sides. So you will get x squared minus 4x plus 4 equals 3. You then want to factor this left side. So what plus what equals negative 4? And what times what equals a positive 4? You should get negative 2 and negative 2. So we're going to have x minus 2 squared, since they're the same, equals 3. Next up, you have to square root both sides. You get x minus 2 equals plus or minus square root of 3. And then add your 2. You can't add it to the 3 because the 3 is under the radical and the 2 is not. The square root of 3 cannot simplify. So this is your answer. Okay, let me know if you guys have any questions over this front page. I know that was a lot of information. Okay, next page. It says identify and correct Elmer-Fudd's problem. So he first moved this 3x over, and he got negative x. Okay, that's right. And then if you identify your a, which the number next to x squared is 1, your b is negative 1, and your c is negative 3. Let's see if these plug these in right. So if you plugged in the negative b, this should have been flipped, so that's wrong. This should be a negative 1, and this should be a positive 1, and this should be a positive 1. So it looks like what he did is he flipped his a and his b value. So Elmer flipped a and b value. So if I wanted to correct his error, I should have a positive 1 plus or minus square root of negative 1 squared minus 4 times my a times my c divided by 2 times my a. You get 1 plus or minus square root of 1 plus 12 divided by 2. So you'd get 1 plus or minus the square root of 13 divided by 2, and that would be my answer. So he shouldn't have gotten no real solutions. He should have gotten a solution on this one. Okay, number 7 says use the drawing to answer the following questions. Drawing is not to scale. Assume figures are rectangles. So find the value of x if the area of the bedroom is 405 feet. So we have to find the bedroom. So we first have to multiply our sides. So let's create our box. 3x minus 6. 3x plus 6. You get 9x squared, negative 18x, positive 18x, and negative 36. You get 9x squared, 18x and negative 18x cancels, and then minus 36. And it says that this equals 405, so I'm going to set it equal to 405. Okay, you guys, our first step is we have to add 36 to both sides. We get 9x squared equals 441. Okay, our next step. A lot of people miss this next step. They think they can go straight to square rooting. You cannot. You need to divide both sides by 9. You get x squared equals 49. And then you take the square root of both sides. So you get x is going to equal a positive or negative 7. However, we only want the positive 7 since this is area. So you get x equals 7. You then take this and plug it in for the length and the width. So I'm going to have 3 times 7 minus 6 and 3 times 7 plus 6. So I'm going to get 15 feet and 27 feet as my dimensions. Okay, let me know if you guys have any questions over this. This, again, is a review over Unit 6, which we are still planning on testing on. So you guys do still need to know the information.